Hey everyone, welcome back to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. We're already in November and the metal doesn't keep stopping. There were some killer releases out last week. One of them was Fleshwork by PUPIL SLICER that's out right now on Prosthetic Records. I had a chance to speak to Kate from the band. That chat is coming up very shortly. Another killer release from last week was Glorious Depravity with their album Death Never Sleeps. Here's the track from it, Necrobotic Enslavement. And that was Glorious Depravity with Necrobotic Enslavement of their album Death Never Sleeps. If you like that track, do check out the rest of the album. I've left the link to it in the show notes. Now on to my chat with Kate from PUPIL SLICER. Hi Kate, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, we're speaking a little ahead, almost a few weeks of your third album, which is Fleshwork. How does it feel, to be doing press around it? It's going to be released via Prosthetic Records. You'll have been signed to for a while now.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting. There's a little bit, it's a little bit nerve-wracking not knowing how people are going to take it, but it's always like that with a release. And everyone, we've had like one review so far, and a couple press people have heard it and come back with really glowing feedback. Everyone seems to really enjoy it. So that's been really nice. I think the fun thing about this press has been it's the first time getting to talk to anyone who's even heard the album. So uh, yeah, what do you think of it?
I mean, to be honest, I just felt that like you guys have now kind of outgrown that mathcore kind of tag, and while it's nice to have like tags where you kind of pay attention to certain bands over the others, but yeah, I've managed to give it a couple spins and I really enjoyed listening to it. A couple of things I wanted to kind of ask you about, right? And I know you said you've only got a couple of reviews so far. But one of the things I actually read is that you, and this maybe, I don't know if it still holds true, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually go through like reviews and comments about your music. Is that still something that you do, or is it something you've kind of given up?
I should give it up. It's still something I do.
Okay.
Um,
But tell me,
yeah.
like, and just to take a different take on it, right? Like, what's something that when you kind of read about, right? Because, like, let's be honest, uh, while you will have people commenting on, say, like Instagram or YouTube and things like that, you've got like real keyboard warriors on like Reddit and platforms like that. Uh, what's something that you read which you realized like this person just totally doesn't get it as just being a keyboard warrior?
Um, I mean, the Lamb Goat comment section can be quite funny. I think the best one we've still had is someone who just commented, "Poo Poo Toucher featuring dog shit." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." Um, but yeah, I mean, there are people who are just like, "Oh, I wish this band would stop just playing nothing but open chugs and it sounds like every other band." And I'm like, I think of any band we probably have the least open chugs. And like we don't really do that around here in PUPIL SLICER, but good to see that. Or someone saying that, oh, this tone sounds like a Boss Metal Zone, when it's like a load of analog amps all using like analog, like really expensive distortion stuff, and he's like, oh, it sounds like a Metal Zone. I wish that sound fucking dies. Like, it sounds nothing like that. Do you even know what that pedal is? Like, yeah, we,
And
we get some funny ones of people who just like have no idea.
yeah, and I think that's the thing about the internet, right? Like you've got while there's the positive end where more people are actually have opportunity and it democratizes things. Uh, what definitely becomes tough is stuff like this, right? Where people just kind of putting it out and not kind of totally understanding it or getting it completely wrong. So yeah, that then it just goes further downhill more than anything else. But on the other side, right, like coming back to Fleshwork, while it is, I think one of the cliches, and I feel that like if I had money every time I read a band say that like this was their best album, heaviest album, I'd be like, really? But that's actually a quote I read by you saying, describing Fleshwork, and especially considering that's a big thing because Blossom, your previous album, was so critically acclaimed. But what makes you think, or what makes you feel that this is like your heaviest and most aggressive work that people would have heard so far?
I think like on Mirrors we didn't really know what we were doing with the songs, and um the songwriting was a bit more, I suppose, noodly and all over the place. And then on Blossom, it was a bit. I think we tried to expand our sound a lot, and we did, but I think we hadn't quite found which of those styles were exactly the right fit for us. And I think on this album, there's a confidence that isn't there as much on the first two, and I think um, also the production on this album. Really happy with how it came out. It sounds very aggressive and in your face, and like a band playing right in front of you, and that everything's about to fall apart. And I think that's a really cool thing to have a album sound like. And I think lyrically, I think this is probably my favorite one in that sense, because the first album I wasn't super confident in my own voice as a writer, and I wasn't putting that much effort into. Or there are a couple tracks that were definitely like written really quickly and just sort of just to have them done. Whereas and Blossom, which was more conceptual, I'm really proud of that. But this album's a lot more direct and about, I think, a bit more emotional, probably the most emotionally charged of the three albums. And because of that, I think it gets better performances out of me vocally when it's something that's more intense and more direct, and it makes the songs a bit more sort of in your face and aggressive. And I think that's cool because I think that is one of the things that captured people with our sound on the first album, was people like complimenting the like the feral sort of unhinged aggressive nature. And uh I think this is the album that does that the most out of the three. So that's why I would think that people would hopefully really enjoy this one. If they liked either of our previous albums, I think there's something for everyone. People who like the first album and people who like the second one. So we've sort of got a bit of the best of both worlds going on here.
Yeah, I totally see that. And I feel that, with bands also typically like, I mean, I'll use Slayer as an example, right? Or even Metallica, where people fall in love with like their early material, which is maybe a little bit rough around the edges. And then they swear that's the best. And then everything else afterwards cannot be as good as that. And the way I look at it is you can't always please everyone, right? Uh, that also becomes a bit of a challenge, especially as a band kind of grows in popularity. But having said that, I mean, there is a rough kind of concept around Fleshwork, and you said that you kind of spent more time. If you could just kind of take us back to when you started working on the material that we now hear as Fleshwork, what was the thing that kind of set off what we now hear on the songs? Was it like a certain riff or certain inspiration that kind of led you down that path?
Um, it's interesting. I'm not sure at which point I thought that I would have realized the album was coming together. I'm always sort of writing and getting song ideas together. Although lyrically it sort of comes after the sonic ideas, the sort of musical, um, the instrumental side of things. Um, Definitely after I started writing the lyrics, I think we'd finished like half of the album when I started writing lyrics, the first lyrics, which were for Heather and Black Scroll, and they were conceptual, sort of inspired by things like Silent Hill and Near, um, like video games. But then the reason they're inspired by that is because of the themes in those things that spoke to me, and I wanted to explore those themes of like manipulation, self-destruction, and humanity sort of being its own worst enemies in a lot of ways. And that sort of then fed into what became the rest of the album, with it being overall thematically about sort of the amount of misinformation and the ways that we're pushed into these wars with each other, uh, in sort of in a cultural sense, where we're distracted from the real issues with the world, and the amount of sort of xenophobia and uh, racism and transphobia and homophobia, and just like disregard for the poor and the disabled, like the amount of hatred that spewed around the world. I think that became sort of the core idea of the album, and the album sort of is meant to be conceptually, it's not a concept album, but it has an atmosphere and a vibe, and conceptually that is like about the industrial workings of society and how those continue to perpetuate hate. But at the core of it, it's humans being cruel to other humans. Uh, but how easily the systems can like enforce that and lead people into hating other people around them when they don't really have any need to be exerting that level of hate. 'Cause it's not really achieving anything, but it is achieving stuff for the billionaires in control. So makes them richer if they get everyone else distracted with worrying about if their neighbor if their neighbor's parents immigrate into the country and that's the thing that is the biggest deal in the world and that's what's ruining the country, then they're not going to worry about the like fact that politicians are just giving contracts to all their friends and doing stuff like I think someone in the Republican governor, I think, just bought the company that owns the voting machines. So I'm assuming they're just going to say that Trump's election was rigged before, and just use it to gain more followers. And it's just like you can just lie about things, and no one cares about that stuff happening. No one seems to. Everyone seems to just accept the things being handed to them, and I think that is really upsetting because it's easy to just like sleepwalk through things and be just a receptacle for all the information you're being fed. And I think at some point you've got to uh, step back and think about well, what's really going on, how easy it is to be misled, I think, in a lot of ways, and how much hatred that can contribute. Because I think at the end of the day, I think my message with the album would be is wanting the world to be a kinder place and people to be kinder to each other. So yeah, that was a big answer.
No, fair enough. I mean, I think everyone can kind of relate to it, right? Like, you'd earlier only hear it, or this could be kind of related to certain parts of the world. But right now, when we just look around us, it's not just like what we're, oh, I don't know, what is called the third world or developing countries. It's all over. I mean, like, uh,
Yeah.
whether you live in the US, the UK, Europe, it's all across, right? So there's everyone who's kind of dealing with it. And now, I think, like we were talking earlier about the internet, thanks to the internet, a lot of this information is being disseminated, and through independent like organizations and outlets, it's coming out. Otherwise, it would just be kind of like kept held behind, I don't know, whatever, gate kept by news organizations that are also owned by politicians and really rich people. So yeah, it's really fucked up. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, we've talked a bit about the album. Why don't we play a song from Fleshwork? What song would you like me to play and why?
Um, can I pick a long one? Then Cenote, the closing track of the album. I think that's one that's not one of the singles, but I think it'd be a cool one for people to hear. It's a longer track and it's sort of about um the ways that society leaves behind the poor and the disabled, and it's sort of like, well, if we're living in a world where those people who don't have the ability to provide for themselves, who are, it should be a good thing that we're in a society where the sick and the poor can be helped by those who are better off and get to live lives where in the past they would have died, uh, and that should be a celebrated thing. But it's seen, those people are still seen as a burden to society, even if they can't do anything to help it. And I think that's sort of what the song's about, and specifically the way the British media portrays disabled people. Um, and sort of stokes hatred around them, uh, and the idea that uh, they deserve to have nothing because uh, they're disabled, and if they're disabled, then they should have just tried harder to. I don't understand the argument, because the argument doesn't make sense, but yeah, that's what the song's about.
So here's Cenote.
The
And that was Cenote, and I'm speaking to Kate from Pupil Slicer. Now, one of the things also I noticed on that's new on this album is you've got a new member in the band. Um, what was that experience like? Getting Luke as part of the band, writing with them. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, Luke's been fantastic. He joined at very short notice. We had a show, a headline show in London that was like 12 days away, and we messaged him and we were like, he'd messaged us before and been like, if you ever need anything on bass, let me know. And we messaged him and we were like, oh, do you think we've got a show on in 12 days? Do you want to come to a practice and we'll see how it goes? Um, and yeah, he was he nailed it, and then we played the gig and it was great. And then we had a short headline run playing our album Blossom in full, and he was fantastic. Then we got on really well with him. He offered him the spot, and yeah, he's been fantastic. Writing this album's been the smoothest writing experience yet. He totally gets what we want the band to sound like, and has a respect for the previous material. The stuff Luke Fabian did with us was fantastic, and he's an amazing bassist. And Luke Booth really like is paying homage to Luke Fabian's work with us and continuing that and adding his own flair to stuff. And I think writing with him, pardon me, writing with him was a fantastic experience. So yeah, really happy with how things are going.
Awesome. And one more thing I should add about the album, right? Because I was reading that you all did a bit of guerrilla marketing at the Art Tangent Music Festival. Um, what was that like, and whose brainchild was it, or how did you all kind of go about it? Because that, from what I've heard, is a fantastic music festival.
Yeah, it's a great festival. It's my favorite festival, and it's the first music festival I ever went to. I've been to it a lot of times, and yeah, it was. I think it was my idea. I was just like, we're going to Arctangent, but the album's getting announced like the week after it. Should we just get some posters to announce it early beforehand? And then the label were like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. Um, and we got some, and hopefully drove a bit more traffic, got people a bit more excited for the album. Um, and yeah, it was a great festival. Saw a load of fantastic bands. Saw like so many friends. Uh, it was really busy. Saw my friend Emma Ruth Rundle and all the people in Calistal Boys, Eyes, Coil Guns, uh, Interama were great. Car Bomb, Between the Buried and Me, Godspeed You, Black Emperor, uh, probably like a billion others. It was a really good time.
Yeah, a few of my friends have actually been to the festival, and everyone I kind of talked to has had a great experience. So hopefully sooner than later, I'll
Yeah.
make pop my head there. But a recurring segment in the podcast is what are you listening to? So is like, do you get time to listen to other music? What kind of music do you listen to in your spare time? Is it like metal, non-metal? Could you share what you've been listening to?
Yeah, it's a good mix. I think at the moment the most recent thing was I didn't finish a whole album of it, but I need to go back to that new that Crippling Alcoholism band. They're really cool. And and the new what's the band called? Is it called Architecture? No, something like that. Um, Agriculture. Agriculture, they're really cool. Agriculture and crippling alcoholism, and I mean, I had Clipping. I went to see Clipping recently. They were really good. Um, and Chat Pile is a band that I listen to a lot. Um, yeah, there's a lot of good bands about these days. It's quite hard to keep up with everything, and being in a band, I actually don't end up spending a huge amount of time listening to music these days. Um, but I really should do it more because there's so much great stuff coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I must add, right? Like, uh, the UK has been going through a bit of a purple patch with a lot of bands. I mean, one of my favorite actually independent labels is based out of the UK, Church Road Records,
Oh
and
yeah, they're great.
I just like blindly just subscribe to them on Bandcamp. So anything that they put out is like something that I'll really enjoy. But yeah, it's been great just to see a lot of bands come out of there because for a long period of time you saw bands from like certain parts of North America or Europe, and now suddenly it's like all over Europe, right? I mean, not all over UK, and it's interesting to see that it's not like in certain pockets; it's all over the place. Um, Another thing I definitely want to ask you is like, you guys have been quite active performing live. Is there anything you can talk about? Any live shows that you're planning in support of Fleshwork?
Yeah, we've got 6 dates with LNNN in November from the 25th to the 30th. They're co-headliners. That should be really fun because it's just after the albums come out. And we'll have the album on sale there as well, which would be good if people don't want to pay postage to get a coffee. And then nothing lined up for next year yet, but we're hoping once the album comes out, we can sort of start figuring stuff out. I think at the moment we've had a couple offers, but nothing is lined up in terms of our schedules so far. So looking forward to getting the album out on the road. We have been playing some of them early this year. We played Heather Black Scrawl Nomad and Fleshwork, um, Zach Sankt on tour. And Fleshwork seems to like really go down well live. We had 5 people across like 3 days come up to us and be like, "What's that one song in the middle of your set?" That's like, and we were like, "Oh," and that's a really cool feeling. We've never had that before, where people are coming up to us after the set, and even if it's like once, it would be amazing. But like 5 times, or 3 or 4, I can't remember, but like, at least 4 people came up and were like, "Yeah, what was that one song?" And so that was really cool to get that kind of response from people. So yeah, we're excited to get out and like play those songs once more people have had a chance to listen to them as well. Because we were doing that before like any of those songs were out as well.
Awesome. So I think we're almost towards the end, but before I let you go, anything you'd like to share with anyone who's still listening to our chat?
I guess try and be nice to the people around you and try and not judge people too much. I think that it's easy to uh get caught up in what you see on the news and online, and so much of it's designed to incite hatred because people getting angry gets more people to click on things, and just try and think about how much of your ideas of the way the world works comes from stuff that's designed to make you angry. Because if it's designed to make you angry, it's probably not very transparent and uh, not very honest with what it's trying to achieve.
Awesome. I wish you guys all the best.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for taking time out to speak to me, Kate.
yeah, no worries. Nice to meet you.
And that was Kate from Pupil Slicer. Hope you enjoyed the chat. Also, the single that I played from the album. Do check out Fleshwork. It's out right now via Prosthetic Records. Link in the show notes. That's all I've got for this episode. Lots more coming up in the coming weeks. Before we do a roundup, I'll maybe drop a mixtape in a couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that. As always, hit subscribe on whichever platform you're listening to this episode on. Follow me, leave a rating, and also follow me on social media. I'm Trendcrusher. See you all very soon. Cheers.